Okay, so since we have several, a class, a third grade class, and maybe a couple other third grade classes learning about the Statue of Liberty, we're going to do a quick drawing of the Statue of Liberty. And of course, we're going to start by partitioning our whole piece of paper into parts to make it easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold it into two matching parts. So we have one whole piece of paper, and we are folding it into two matching parts so that we have, and I always on the back turn it over, and I always label my fractions. So since this is one whole thing and has two parts, this fraction is 1 out of 2, and this fraction is 1 out of 2, which means that this is 1/2 and this is half. So 1 out of 2 of this piece of paper, 1 out of 2 of this piece of paper. And then I'm going to fold it again, because quarters are a whole lot easier. Remember, quarters mean 4 parts, and each quarter is 1/4 of the whole, 1 out of 4 parts of the whole. So this is 1/4, that's 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. And then we can see from here that 1/2, we have 2/4 and 1/2. So that means that 2/4 equals 1/2. Okay, so we did some unit fractions, which is unit fractions. Remember, they only have one on top. They have 1 on top. And we did equivalent fractions because 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Now, if we flip it over, we can now use this to draw our Statue of Liberty. Okay, so we're just going to draw the top, like her head, okay? So we're basically doing a portrait of her. So you're going to start about at the halfway point, okay? And we're going to go halfway on each side, and we're basically going to make a U, okay? And it's going to be kind of a flat U for her face right here. And remember, if you mess up, just go back and correct it and then erase. Okay? All right, so that's your step number 1. Okay? Step number 2, we are going to just take it, and you're basically going to draw, it's not going to be perfectly straight line. It's going to have a slight curve up to that line and then curve back down because her face is not straight up there. Okay, so now we have the Statue of Liberty's face, and then we're going to do her hair that comes down, and we're going to start here in the middle. Remember, we've got our perpendicular lines right here, and they're perpendicular because we have a vertical line and a horizontal line, and they are crossing perfectly so that each of these is a square angle or a right angle, or also known as a 90-degree angle. Okay, and so we're going to go right here to our center of our vertical line, and we're going to go from here, and we're just going to kind of make a swoop down, and we're going to do the same thing going this way, and we're going to try to make them end up about the same place. Remember, you want to try to make it as symmetrical as possible, and remember that symmetry is when it matches on both sides. Okay, all right, so we've got our hair, and then we're going to go and we're going to use parallel lines that run side by side but never touch, to do her neck. And now we are going to start building her crown, and we're going to kind of go up and out a little bit. And notice, again, pay attention to your quarters, pay attention to how far I went. That lets you, these help guide us in our drawing. And we're going to draw the top part of her crown. And now what we're going to do is add some ears. Now, when I add ears, I say I use C's or D's. So right here I'm using a C, and right here I'm using the side of a D. Okay? If you can choose another way to remember, that's fine. And then we have to do the points. Now, one of the facts that my third graders learned about the Statue of Liberty on their virtual tour is that the Statue of Liberty has 7 points coming out of her crown, or 7 rays coming out of her crown. And those 7 rays represent the 7 continents. So we have our first one that is the tallest ray. And remember, a ray in 4th grade, we learned that a ray is a line that has a starting point, but no ending point. So we're going to do our middle ray. She kind of looks like a unicorn Statue of Liberty right now. And then we're going to do the two going out to the side. I've always said that it's easier to draw things that have odd numbers because you can find a middle point easily. So then we're going to do one going out this way and coming down. You want to try to make them as much like angles or triangles as possible by making sure that those are straight lines and they're joining at a vertex or a point at the top. So now we have our 3, and then we can put the other 2 here in the middle and 2 here. And it kind of helps us space it out. Again, try to make it as straight as you can. They do go up a little taller. This is the tallest one, but these get a little bit taller than the ones on the outside. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, trying again to make it symmetrical so it's the same on this side as it is on that side. Doesn't have to be perfect, but symmetry is a really cool way to make sure your stuff matches. And I like symmetry. I like for my stuff to match. Okay, so we have our 7 rays. Remember, those stand for our 7 continents. Also, remember, a ray is a line that has a starting point and keeps on going. So technically, what they're thinking of is these are like the sun's rays that just keep on going. And I guess we could name them continents and go North America, South America, Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, Antarctica. All right, so now we're going to draw her hair that goes on the outside. And to do that, all we're going to do is we're going to start right here at the crown. We're going to go at a slight angle and go down. We're going to stop right, we're not going to stop at her face. We're going to stop right before we get there. And we're going to just kind of make it like an L right there. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, that's symmetry. Okay. And now we're going to go right here and we're just going to draw a straight line, you know, kind of going at an angle. And that's the rest of her hair. Okay. So she has windows that go on the top of her crown. There are actually 25 windows on the Statue of Liberty, but we're only going to see 5 from the front. And to make these windows, we're basically going to make rectangles. And again, because 5 is an odd number, you have a middle point. So we can do our middle window first, and it will help spread out the other ones evenly. So here's my first window. Okay, and then I'm going to go do another window over here and over here. And I'm just drawing rectangles, or they're almost rectangles. They've got parallel lines that are opposite parallel and equal. Remember, a rectangle has 2 sets of parallel lines. Here's one set right here. Here's the other set. And remember, a set or a pair has 2. Okay. And then we're going to go and add our face. And to do this, we're going to do our eyes first. To do our eyes, we're going to kind of go down a little bit. And I like to do an arc, or I call it a smile. Okay, so that you kind of make almond-shaped eyes instead of just round eyes. And you want to try to make them the same distance apart from your vertical center line. And then what I do on top is I do the opposite, which is a frown. And it ends up making my almond-shaped eyes. Then I've got to have our center of her eyes, and I am pretty sure that you cannot see her pupils. In fact, I think that she's kind of looking up, maybe at the torch she's holding. But it goes up like this, and here, okay? And of course, that's not perfect at all, but remember, it's not going to be perfect. And then I'm going to go, she has a very Roman nose, which means it's very straight. And it's going to start between her between her eyes. And it's going to come down. And then we're going to do a little curve here. And then a curve like right up there. Okay? Now, her lips are not nearly as defined as most people's lips because she's probably a statue. So we're just going to basically do a line going across, make it about a little bit bigger than her nose, the width of her nose. Remember, width is how far it is apart and across. That's definitely not symmetrical. I also didn't make sure I was in the center. So I'm going to go right here. All right, and then instead of doing her bottom lip, we're just going to kind of do an illusion. So it looks like it right there. Okay? So we have our head of our Statue of Liberty. And then, you know what? They celebrated it. So you could do fireworks on the outside, or if you wanted to do stars. But I kind of like the fireworks. Like maybe we're pretending this is the 4th of July. And so we're going to go around and we're going to do fireworks. I'm just going to do an X and then a plus sign on top of it. And then if you want to do some dots going out like this, you can. They're basically like rays. Okay, and then you can come in and make them different colors and lengths depending on how many fireworks you want. You can go in and add more rays if you want to. Okay. X and a plus sign, and then you can add your other things. And then if you remember correctly, the Statue of Liberty is green. Remember that it started out bronze color because it was made of copper, and when copper rusts, it turns green. So when you're coloring the Statue of Liberty, we want to stay true to history and true to what we're learning, and that way our art is part of what we're learning with math and with history. And we want to stay true to that, so it's kind of like a pale green. If you're not sure, Google it. You can find it out that way. And then you can color with whatever you have. You can even paint if you have paint at home, okay? And again, like we do sometimes, we like to make the outside a little darker than the inside, or we trace over the outside lines with black. I'm going to do the green here because I'm going to make the black the night. And I'm going to trace over all of my lines. And you do this again with marker, paint, chalk, whatever you have. I wish we were at school so I could give you supplies. And everything on her is green because it was all copper. And over time, when copper rusts, it turns green, which is really strange because when we think about rust, we think about it being like a red color. And in this case, it's not. When copper rusts, it's green. When iron rusts, it turns red. So I'm going to go and I am going to trace all of my lines. A lot of parallel lines happening in here. Again, geometry is an amazing thing that helps us learn and draw. We can't draw without geometry. And I'm going to get the 7 rays, which again represent the 7 continents. How many windows did it have? There were 5 up here. I think of 5 times 5 is 25. There are 25 windows around her crown. What is she holding? In one hand, she's holding up the torch to light the way for others to a free country. And the other hand, she is holding a book which says July 4th on it because that was the day that we signed the Declaration of Independence, and this was actually given to the United States as a gift from France as a kind of 100-year remembrance of the battle. or the signing of the Declaration of Independence, because we definitely could not have won the Revolutionary War without the help of France. It would not have been possible. France helped the colonists a lot as they fought against the British for their own independence. And if you like stuff with the history, you should go check out, research Lafayette. He was like our main French emissary, as was Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. And the Statue of Liberty was posted in the harbor outside of New York in order to welcome immigrants from other places. It is actually located on an island where immigrants, when they came in a long time ago, had to register to come into the United States. Well, into the United States, so that they could be documented and know that they were here. And at that time, everyone was an immigrant, because, actually then, no, because that's like 100 years later. So if the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, and this gift was supposedly given 100 years later, what year would it have been given in? Or was that just something to, maybe it started then and we didn't get it then? Okay, so now I'm going to get a lighter green color, because that green would be too dark. And I'm going to just shade over. And remember, we talked about that if you want something dark, instead of coloring hard the first time, go back over it. Alright, so here I've just quickly colored her hair. And now if I want to make it darker or cover up the white spaces, I always go over it again. And I'm even going over the dark green again, because it'll help fill in any of the white spaces. I'm not pushing any harder. I'm going right across it. And that's the cool thing about her all being green, is that you can kind of just color her all without the fear of messing up. I like to try to stay going the same way, but sometimes when you get near the edges, you have to go a different way. So we got her neck. And of course, if you want to color without me, that's fine. You can make it however you want to. I would love to see what yours turns out to look like. It'd be really cool if you took a picture of it and shared it with me. Remember, my email address is ehill@dcboe.com. I've also had some people sending me chats inside Google Classroom, and I've been responding to those. So if you want to chat with me, send me something to Google Classroom. I will respond. It's hard for me to respond in Class Dojo because I have to go into your teacher's class, and I teach a lot of kids, so that's kind of hard. But if you respond to me on my Google Classroom, it goes directly to me. And there are lots of cool things in there to do that I've added since we've been out. Some of them are lessons. All of it has to do with art. And all of it has to do with math. Some of it does look like it's reading. And it is reading, but it's also math in disguise, because we all know what we've said all along is that you cannot do art without math. Okay? So then what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do my fireworks first, and that way when I go back over with the black, hopefully it will pop, and I can do that. So let's try it. So I'm going to yellow, red, I'm going to Just trace over that. And this I am going to push a little hard. Not hard enough that it'll break, but hard enough that it will withstand when I put the black on there. And you want to use firework colors. So what are some firework colors? Definitely our yellows, reds, orange, green, blue. And what I like to do is spread the colors out. So I don't want like the same color over and over again. So I like to spread them out. And again, I'm making this dark so that when I color over it with black, if you mess up, who cares? It's a firework. Like, add some more stuff in there. Okay, it can go out further. I'm gonna do a red one right here. I might just do red, yellow, and blue. That way it's kind of the USA colors. These fireworks are shooting out all over. That would be such a cool place to be on the 4th of July, is to be able to watch the fireworks shoot off from around the Statue of Liberty. If you've had the chance to do that, count yourself lucky, because that's amazing. Here's another cool, interesting fact about the Statue of Liberty, is that the same person who built the Eiffel Tower also built the Statue of Liberty. How cool is that? Okay, so now I've got to find my black crayon. I don't know where it has gone because it's my #1 used crayon. And I'm just going to color over the outside, and hopefully I'm going to lightly color, especially when I get to where my fireworks are. And let's see if it, yeah, if I push down hard enough, it'll, yes, it went straight over it. Good. Okay. And then you can always go back over your fireworks after you're done coloring your night sky. And remember, you can do fireworks during the day, but why don't we do that? That's right, because it's so bright outside. It's kind of like the way that there are always stars in our sky. Right now, midday, there's stars in our sky, but we don't see them because at the sun, our star, is shining so bright, we can't see them. So you can go back over when you're done with the black and go back over each of your fireworks again. Hopefully you're coloring on something that is not, you're not going to get in trouble, because you know how we make a mess. So you might want to put some paper out so you're coloring on that. So you're not coloring on your tables, because these are not the art room, and you probably don't need to color on your grandma, your mother, your aunties, or whoever's table. But here is my Statue of Liberty. Again, you can go over it again, make it darker, to make it darker at night, make your fireworks darker. But that is how you draw the Statue of Liberty, just her portrait, kind of like we draw our portrait in our faces. So I hope you've had fun learning about the Statue of Liberty and learning how to draw her.